Yasodanandana Gajajanarandana Yamunatira Jaya Radha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Radha Srivasadi Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahansa Parvajakacharya Astrateras Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahansa Parvajakacharya Astrateras Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Kirti Vaishnavini Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sri Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Maya Ki Jai Jamuna Maya Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Srimati Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guru. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 7, Chapter 4, text. It's actually text 25 and 26. Shamarasika, you think you could do the Sanskrit? You're so much more expert.
Yes, Mataji. 1 minute. I need to open the verse. Yes.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Just a minute, Mataji.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
No problem. Six point 7. This one, right, Mataji? Alakshinto. Alakshito gnau patitaha patangamo yatha nrasiho jasi so suradasta na tadvichitram kalu sattvadhamani swatejasayonu purapi tamaha. Hare Krishna.
That was 7:4:25.
Just a minute. 6. Oh, sorry.
I was thinking maybe I got the wrong verse.
Yeah. 6. Put wrong.
7, 4, 25, and 20
25.
combined.
I got it now. ततोऽभिपद्याभ्य हनमन् आसुरो रुषा नरसिंहं गदयोरुवेगया तं विक्रमन्तं सदगं गदाधरो महोरगं तार्क्षयूतो यथाग्रिता. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you. I don't think that was the verse either, unless I'm wrong.
Oh, that is
7,
Mataji, you are reading wrong verse.
7, 4, 25, right? Am I wrong?
Yes, Mataji. 7, 4, 25, 26, both together.
Okay. All right. That's okay.
Again.
Don't worry about it. So we'll do the synonyms.
Mataji, I got it now. Sorry. Mabhaishta. This one, right, Mataji? Mabhaishta.
Thank you.
Mabhaishta vibhuddhashreshtaha sarvesham bhadramastu vaha maddarshanam hi bhutanam sarvashreyopapattaye ज्ञातमे तस्य दौरात्मं दैतया पद सदस्य यत् तस्य शांति करिष्यामि कालं तावत् प्रतीक्षत. Sorry, Mata. Hare Krishna.
No, you don't need to apologize. They need to apologize for not doing it. Synonym, ma, do not. By ista, fear. Vibhuda, shrestha, O best of learned persons. Sarvesham, of all. Bhadram, the good fortune. Astu, let there be. Va, unto you. Ma darshanam, the seeing of me, or offering of prayers to me, or hearing about me, all of which are absolute. He indeed, Bhutanam, of all living entities, Sarva Shresha, of all good fortune, Upatya, for the attainment, Jantam, known, Estyas, of this, Duratmayam, the nefarious activities, Daitya Aps, Sandasya, of the great demon Hiranyakasipu, Yat, which, Tasya, of this, Satyam, cessation, Karishyami, I shall make, Kalam, time, Tattva, until that, Praktikshata, just wait. Translation. The voice of the Lord vibrated as follows. O best of learned persons, do not fear. I wish all good fortune to you. Become my devotee by hearing and chanting about me and offering me prayers, for these are certainly meant to award benediction to all living entities. I know all about the activities of Hiranyakasipu, and I shall surely stop them very soon. Please wait patiently until that time. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jaishree Prabhupada. Sometimes people are very much eager to see God. In considering the word Mad Darshanam, seeing me, which is mentioned in this verse, one should note that in Bhagavad Gita the Lord says, Bhaktyamam Abhajanti. In other words, the ability to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead or to see or talk to him depends on one's advancement in devotional service, which is called bhakti. In bhakti, there are 9 different activities: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Because all of these devotional activities are absolute, there is no fundamental difference between worshiping the deity in the temple, seeing him, and chanting his glories. Indeed, all of these are ways of seeing him. For everything done in devotional service is a means of direct contact with the Lord. The vibration of the Lord's voice appeared in the presence of all the devotees. And although the person vibrating the sound was unseen to them, they were meeting or seeing the Lord because they were offering prayers and because the vibration of the Lord was present. Contrary to the laws of the material world, there is no difference between seeing the Lord, offering prayers, and hearing the transcendental vibration. Pure devotees, therefore, are fully satisfied by glorifying the Lord. Such glorification is called kirtan. Performing kirtan and hearing the vibration of the sound Hare Krishna is actually seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. One must realize this position, and then one will be able to understand the absolute nature of the Lord's activities. Om Ganatimirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. We're born in the darkness of ignorance, but our spiritual master is kindly opening our eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. So we offer our respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. So again, it's so nice to be back with everyone. I've been away for like 6 months, and I was so happy to return to New Vrindavan. You know, I was living with my son in California, and I was away from the temple, like 15 minutes, but 15 minutes in LA traffic, not a very appealing commute. So I wasn't going all that often because my son had his car most of the time. So I was so happy to come back to a place where everything is just 1 minute away. The temple, the devotees, the kirtan, the prasadam, just such an amazing organization that Prabhupada has set up, that we have temples. Just such mercy. So in this verse, Srila Prabhupada mentions the 9 processes of devotional service. We see in this verse that the Lord is speaking to his devotees who have been praying for his protection from the great demon Hiranyakasipu. We have a lot of demons nowadays, but not quite on the caliber as Hiranyakasipu, fortunately. So the Lord appeared to them, but he didn't appear like he appeared to Dhruva Maharaj, just like right there in front of him. Although Dhruva was meditating on him for a long time, when he opened his eyes, when his meditation broke and he opened his eyes there, the Lord was standing there in front of him. So in this case, the Lord decided to appear just by speaking to them. And we see even in the Christian tradition, when Moses was looking for the connection, the Lord appeared to him and spoke to him in the form of a burning bush. And actually, when I preach or speak with Christian people, and some of them can be very one-sided, that only Jesus is the way. And I say, well, what about, wasn't God there before Jesus appeared? What about Moses? Didn't the Lord appear as a burning bush and speak to him? So I think that's, anyway, it's a good example. So here the Lord is appearing through sound vibration. And Prabhupada talks about the different processes of devotional service, which are super important, because it's such a vast subject matter. It's not so limited to one person's vision of what devotional service is. Srila Prabhupada was so broad-minded. You know, he didn't say, this is the only way, you have to do it exactly this way. He puts it before the people of the world that there are 9 processes of devotional service. And any one of them could bring perfection, or all of them, a combination. So Prahlad Maharaj says, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him. In other words, serving him with the body, mind, and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. So, such a great variety of opportunities. And someone may be very inclined towards praying or worshiping the deity or chanting or preaching, shravanam, kirtanam, preaching, chanting, basically the same thing. So I always get amazed how perfect ISKCON is, even though we can see it on different angles and people go, oh, this is wrong, and these guys are wrong, and this and that. You know, to me, that's very immature, not seen from the right angle, because ISKCON, as Prabhupada said, that was his body, is perfect in the fact that there's all of this opportunity. It's so different than it was so many years ago. You know, when I first, the day I met Srila Prabhupada, he was sitting at a desk, and the desk was just a raw piece of plywood. And he was sitting on old, used Hawaiian cushions. That was it. The temple room was an empty room with a little wooden dais in the corner. It had a wire across the room with a makeshift curtain. And going into Srila Prabhupada's room was just a thumbtacked up picture of a Bridge Basi print of Krishna and Arjuna. I mean, there was really, really no opulence. But at the same time, it was extremely opulent. It was just, Prabhupada was opulent. Prabhupada's person, Prabhupada's connection with Krishna was so amazing and so powerful. You really didn't need anything else. So we had no books. There was some very few Back to Godhead magazines. The altar was a picture. You know, the prasadam, we didn't even have money for food. You know, they'd go begging at markets to get, you know, there was no income. There was no like donations or fundraising team. There was nothing. And most of us had, you know, weren't working or anything. Definitely not in Hawaii. But somehow or other, that appearance of the Lord in the situation was so powerful. He appeared through Prabhupada's words and preaching and just person, the person Bhagavat. The person Bhagavat is a direct representative of the Supreme Lord. So Krishna appeared through his representative, and it was so powerful. Now the paradigm has shifted, and we're seeing these beautiful, just beautiful works of art. Look at the TOVP, what an impressive project. We want to make sure, what is it Prabhupada said? Purity is the force. Books are the basis, purity is the force. I can't remember the other ones right now, but purity is the force. We want to keep ISKCON, even though there's money and facility on a different level, certainly a different level. We want to keep it pure and following. Like Prabhupada said, if you don't chant your rounds, then the deity becomes a burden. We don't want our service or ISKCON or the instructions of our spiritual masters to become a burden. You know, we want to keep on the level where we can appreciate and understand what we've been given. I mean, we know it's not the end of the world. If we fall down, Krishna will find a way to pick us up again at some time, in this life or in the next. But, you know, who wants to waste time in degradation? Anyway, I always get amazed. You know, you go up, Vrindavan is such an amazing, opulent place. There's like hundreds and hundreds of books in the temple on display to buy. You go into the gift shop, there's more books and deities and pictures and sound vibration going on. And you see the deities in our temple are just amazing. Even in LA, their deity worship is just spectacular. And they do a ton of books. That's where the BBT is situated. They do a lot of books all the time, every day. They're really, really empowered for that. And then our prasadam, it's like you go to prasadam. Okay, we hear the potency of prasadam is so real. But we have incredible cooks. We just had a 24-hour kirtan that was just wonderful, I have to say. So many wonderful kirtaniers. So just a wonderful weekend, and the prasadam was amazing, and the association, there was people from all over the country, and you know, what amazing good fortune. When we started, we really had nothing. There was no festivals. Our Janmashtami was like 5 people. And the only one that really knew how to cook was Govinda Dasi, who we used to cook for Prabhupada, who was an excellent cook. So, you know, things have come a long way. All right, let's see. In the 7th canto, Prahlad Maharaj describes the processes of devotional service. To hear about Sri Vishnu's name, his form, his characters, his possessions, and his pastimes, and to hear and chant about his pastimes, to remember them, to serve the lotus feet of the Lord, to respectfully offer service to the Lord, to offer prayers to the Lord, to become his servant, to consider the Lord as one's best friend. These 9 processes are recognized as pure devotional service. Hearing, Shravanam, Parikshit is the example. The last 7 days of his life, he constantly heard the Srimad Bhagvatam. I mean, that's being pretty focused. Here it is, you know you're going to be bit by this frightening snake bird, but he's sitting patiently, totally focused and hearing at the end of his life. Chanting, Kirtanam, Sukadev Goswami spoke the Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit. So that is one of the examples of chanting. He was such a great realized soul and speaker that all the other elders of the assembly agreed that he should be the one speaking, remembering Vishnu Smarnam. Prahlad Maharaj, he never forgot Krishna. He was always remembering Krishna. So he's one of the examples of remembering. He was put into such a situation that who else would have been able to handle such situations and still stay focused? But Prahlad Maharaj, he just always was remembering the Lord, the lotus feet of the Lord. Serving the lotus feet of the Lord, Pada Sevanam, Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. She's always engaged in serving the lotus feet of the Lord. Of course, these are just some examples, but we can see by the example the way of doing such things. I'm sure, like Pada Sevanam, you're serving the deity in the temple. This is serving the lotus feet of the Lord if you're actually conscious, not just doing it because you have to do it or in a ritualistic way, but actually conscious. So Archanam, deity worship. Maharaj Prithu used all of his royal possessions in order to offer them in pure devotion to the Lord. Prabhupada also set up a lot of Archanam, which is to our good fortune because many of us are very limited in our abilities for certain parts of devotional service, but serving the lotus feet of the deity, the Archanam, is something that's simple and easily done by many people. Bringing rice. Actually, it says in the Nectar of Devotion that one shouldn't come to the temple without bringing something. And Prabhupada makes mention that in India, people, even if they only have a palm full of rice, there's a place for them to put it, bringing something to Krishna. And I'm preaching to myself here too, because I go up to the temple a lot. Praying, Vandanam. Akrura offered prayers to Krishna when he was traveling to Vrindavan. So he's an example of Vandanam, as are so many of our acharyas, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, of course, Srila Prabhupada, Narottam Das Thakur. Wow, we have a lot of facility for hearing prayers. Executing the order, Dasyam, Hanuman, the intimate servant of Ramachandra, executed all of Lord Ramachandra's orders, despite all kinds of difficulties. Serving as a friend, Sakyam, Arjuna, was close to Krishna, and the Lord offered himself to become the chariot driver and serve Arjuna. So that was a nice relationship. So complete surrender, Atmanivedana. Bali Maharaj, he gave Vamanadeva his entire kingdom, his possessions, as well as his own body, although his own spiritual master was against it. So we see a lot of different examples throughout our teachings of devotees that were following one or several of these processes of devotional service. This is what we've been given by Srila Prabhupada. It's like a banyan seed Prabhupada planted and just manifest into this dynamic tree where there's facility for all of these processes of devotional service in quantity. If you ever want to live in a place where there is unlimited service, please come to New Vrindavan. We have room for you. There's so much service here, really. And in some places, like I love going to Alachua. I was going there in the winter time because my health was so bad. But the temple service is not nearly on the level as it is in New Vrindavan. So there you have to be kind of a self-starter. like go out and distribute books, like set up, you have to think, like Prabhupada thought how to spread Krishna consciousness. And he ended up going to the park. There he was, a gentleman, old Indian gentleman with a bongo drum, sitting under a tree, surrounded by a bunch of wild hippies, just chanting. He was just chanting. He had to find a way. How do I reach these people? He had to find a way. And this is how, one of the ways that he did it. He was having programs, some kind of program when he was in the loft. And then he got thrown out of there by Krishna's arrangement, I would assume, and had to run away with nothing. And then I was just listening. If you go on, what is that? Audible, you can get the spoken book of Mukunda Maharaj. And he talks about how Prabhupada called him and said that he needed help. He had to run out of the loft because this guy had taken this drugs and was crazy. And so Mukunda talks about how they facilitated the Swami. It's wonderful. If you like to listen to audiobooks, that is a very good audiobook. So things sometimes start off very simple. If we don't have the facility, then we need to find, like you have this group. You're all listening to Srimad Bhagvatam. You may be able to get other people involved that are in the same situation, that aren't right next to a temple, to go to class. There's that, what is it? It used to be called the World Review. I think it's called ISKCON World now or something like that. Maybe you can put some type of advertisement in some of these venues and invite people to come to your group. Someone may be very happy to join a group that's not like hundreds of people. I know I want a reading group, like an online reading group that's reading the Bhagavad Gita. If anyone knows of that, please privately connect with me, because I would like to connect with that. But I just joined a reading group of it's like 5 people and going through the summarized book of the Srimad Bhagvatam. But there's so many people that are in the middle of nowhere with no association. So this type of venue. Anyway, my point is, we sometimes have to become creative. Prabhupada was creative, and devotees in ISKCON, a lot of these things were started by just the devotees in ISKCON. Look at Chowpatty. They have this midday meals. And I know it's connected with the government of India now, but it started off very simple. They were just feeding some of the kids in the local schools, because if the children don't have a good meal, how can they study? And so many kids were not going to school because they had no food. So the midday meal started, and now it just exploded into this huge, I think they feed like 1.5 million students every day. I mean, who could understand the capacity of that? But that's devotional service. Someone thought of an idea, it started small. So don't be afraid to be creative in your execution of devotional service, and find a way to engage others. So it said that perfecting just one of these, you can attain perfection. And it sounds easy. Things always sound easy. But to actually be able to surrender to one of these, can take some thought and some time. So most people are engaged in several of these things, but it's, depends on your propensity. Some people are just really into kirtan, and that's what they want to do. And they'll sit in their own home, or they'll sit in a park and do kirtan. From reading Indradumna Swami's diaries, there's some devotees I've never heard of that are my god brothers that have done amazing projects I can't remember his name, someone in the Miami temple. And Indradumna Swami in his book, he was saying, this was one of his old books. He was saying there that he noticed this one devotee who was just really absorbed in the kirtan. And he wanted to know who it was. I think Sudanidhi maybe was his name. Anyway, the devotees told him that this person always goes out on the street. He comes to Mangalarti even when he had some conflict with the temple president, and the temple president kicked him out. He would come to Mangalarti, stand outside the window of the temple, and watch the Mangalarti from outside. And then he got reinstated somehow or other. But he would, as soon as the program was over, he would go change his clothes and go out on the streets. I mean, here's a lone, simple person that I've never even heard of. And Indradumna Swami said that day, he said, I really wanted to meet this person because I could see that he was really had an attachment, an attraction for the holy name and for spreading Krishna consciousness. So he said later on, they went on Harinam, and this person was on Harinam. And he said everybody, all the people that were generally on the street, were greeting this devotee and hugging this devotee. And, you know, just he had developed these connections with these people that they were all saying Hare Krishna. You know, the workers on the street and the people that had cafes, or, you know, just the policemen. He had developed relationships through the years with all of these people. And he said at one point, he took the kirtan party into this restaurant. This devotee did, not Indradumna Swami. And all the people in the restaurant were greeting him by name and chanting Hare Krishna. And, you know, it's not that everyone has to join Indradumna Swami's wonderful Polish Woodstock. It's that someone like the Sudanidhi just went out on his own. He had the conviction and he just started a simple program, but he touched the lives of hundreds and hundreds of people. And look at Jayananda. Jayananda, who's, we just celebrated, I think it was his either departure day or his birthday. You know, he was just a very simple man. Very simple, very likable. Everybody loved him. Just the common people. When some people found out he had passed away, like the city commissioner's office that distributed the parade permits or something, they would cry. And Prabhupada said he went back to Godhead. You know, he was like Jayananda. When I was in the San Francisco temple, Jayananda was the guy who was always under the truck, fixing the truck. He was supposed to do arti one day. I was like the head pujari there. And he came up to me, his hands were covered in grease. He said, oh, Jaishree, can you find somebody else? I can't do it. I'm trying to fix this truck. You know, just a simple, down-to-earth guy. So we don't have to be and we shouldn't even aspire to be like I want to be like Indradumna Swami and have so many followers, or be like Radhanath Swami. And, you know, these people are just simple people that have attracted a following because of their hard work and sincere service. So that's what we need to do. Develop our venue, our line, where we can do some type, engage in one of these processes. So yesterday I was listening to a tape of Radhanath Maharaj. He was talking about Maharaj Bharat. And Bharat Maharaj was a great king. He was very advanced in the spiritual practice. At a certain time, he retired and left everything, his kingdom. He went somewhere in the Himalayas and he started doing great penance and austerities. And he was actually an advanced person. And then he witnessed this poor pregnant deer. and she was running from a tiger. And the tiger was roaring, and the deer jumped in the river to cross to get away from the tiger. And she miscarried in the river, and the baby was floating. And Bharat, he saw this. So being a kind and simple-hearted, compassionate person, because he was a devotee, he jumped in the river and saved the deer. And Maharaj goes on to say, it wasn't so much that he did the wrong thing by saving the deer, but his mistake was that he kind of left his determined, focused practice to take care of the deer, and the deer became more important than his practice. So when he unexpectedly died, instead of thinking of Krishna, he was thinking of the deer. So I was thinking, well, what does this story show us? And it's like nothing wrong with our caring about family or friends or the world, wanting to help the homeless or to feed people. But we need to be careful to not get off the spiritual track in doing this. So this story is a good example. And then, of course, Krishna gave him the opportunity again. He thought of the deer, he became a deer, but he had the remembrance of his past. And so he didn't hang out with the deers. He just went and sat at the hermitages and listened. And then he became Jad Bharat. And instead of being the brilliant, surrendered soul that he was, he feigned being a dumb and a dumb person. And so everyone left him alone. And so we see he ends up carrying the palanquin of King Rahugana, and Rahugana is chastising him because he's jumping over the ants, and the king is being tousled around in his carriage, and he comes out and sarcastically chastises him. And that's when Jad Bharat takes the opportunity to put the king in his place and teach him. And then he goes back into the forest being the dumb person. It's interesting how different things are handled by different personalities. So Prabhupada, on this one japa tape, he says, don't waste time. Chant Hare Krishna. Don't waste time. Chant Hare Krishna. So, and we know that any time wasted is never regained. And unfortunately, the reality that we are faced with nowadays, so many devotees are leaving their body. Look at my god sister Sudharma, such a scholarly, qualified woman, did so much service. And you may not even have heard of her, but she is one of the people that started the women's ministry. Powerful lady. When I was in Alachua a number of years ago, I was taking care of her. She had like kidney failure, and she was so sick. She was basically dying. And she didn't want to get on dialysis. But then after I left Alachua and came back here, she did get on dialysis, and she's lived and helped at the school and stuff she's the one who started the after school program for the Alachua Learning Center. So so she did go on dialysis, and she lived for another 7 years, maybe more, maybe 10. And she just passed away. She had like a heart attack. It's like today or tomorrow. We just really need to not be afraid, but to try and keep ourselves focused and not waste time. we have the opportunity for these processes of devotional service. So you just need to stay serious. Like Prabhupada says, don't waste time, chant Hare Krishna. So, oops. In the Srimad Bhagvatam, first canto, 7th chapter, text number 19, Prabhupada says, this is our prayer. It is not our prayer that, oh Krishna, oh Rama, give me some money, give me some woman. No, this is not our prayer. So I've been thinking about prayer. I want to write something actually on prayer, just for my own learning. But I'm in different WhatsApp groups. The Alachua WhatsApp group for end of life care. New Vrindavan has its Bhakti Sangha. WhatsApp groups are actually pretty nice if you don't let them get out of hand with political debates or spiritual political debates. But someone's in difficulty. Oh, pray for me. Oh, I'll pray for you. What are you going to pray? What are you going to pray for somebody? And I remember when one personality that was a very prominent person in our movement years and years ago got seriously injured. And everyone was praying that they would recover. And so they did recover. But if they had died then, they would have been a famous person. But they recovered and went on to ruin their own reputation and became a not so positively thought of person, which was very sad. So I thought, well, what are we praying for? When someone says, pray for me, give me your blessings. Well, what is a prayer for? And I know with my Christian upbringing, and I know that not even just Christian upbringing, it's just the way it is. People pray for material boons. They pray for a good wife. We pray for money, protection. This is where we're situated. Help, Krishna, give me this, give me that. I need money. I need a good job. Help. I don't know what to do, which is good. It's pious. Nothing wrong with that. It's just not a very advanced place of prayer. Like Prabhupada says here, oh Krishna, oh Rama, give me some money, give me some woman. No, this is not prayer. Prabhupada, very straightforward. So let's see here. So Srila Prabhupada, here. Srila Prabhupada came over on the boat, Jaladuta, and he composed quite a long prayer when he landed. And what was the prayer? Now, what was it? Oh, give me money, give me followers, give me a place to stay. No. It's called a prayer to the lotus feet of Krishna on the Jaladuta, September 13th, 1965. And he says, Friday, September 10th, 1965, in the middle of the ocean. Oops, I'm sorry. I emphatically say to you, O brothers, you will obtain your good fortune from the Supreme Lord Krishna only when Srimati Radharani becomes pleased with you. So his prayer, Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is very dear to Lord Gauranga, the son of Mother Sachi, is unparalleled in his service to the Supreme Lord Krishna. He is that great saintly spiritual master who bestows intense devotional service to Krishna at different places throughout the world. By his strong desire, the holy name of Gauranga will spread throughout all the countries of the Western world. In all the cities, towns, and villages on the earth, from all the oceans, seas, rivers, and streams, everyone will chant the holy name of Krishna. As the vast mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu conquers all directions, a flood of transcendental ecstasy will certainly cover the land. When all the sinful, miserable living entities become happy, the Vaishnava's desire will be fulfilled. Although my Guru Maharaj ordered me to accomplish this mission, I am not worthy nor fit to do it. I am very fallen and insignificant. Therefore, O Lord, now I am begging for your mercy so that I may become worthy. For you are the wisest and the most experienced of all. If you bestow your power of serving the spiritual master, if you bestow your power by serving the spiritual master, one attains the absolute truth. One's life becomes successful. If that service is obtained, then one becomes happy and gets your association due to good fortune. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires, one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes. Following the general populace, but your servant Narada Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple, instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? That's Prahlad Maharaj's prayer. O Krishna, you are my eternal companion. Forgetting you, I have suffered the kicks of Maya birth after birth. If today the chance to meet you occurs again, then I will surely be able to rejoin you. O dear friend, in your company I will experience great joy once again. In the early morning I will wander about the cowherd pastures and fields, running and frolicking in the forest of Vrindavan. I will roll on the ground in spiritual ecstasy. Oh, when will that day be mine? Today the remembrance of you came to me in a very nice way. Because I have a great longing, I called to you. I am your eternal servant, and therefore I desire your association so much. O Lord Krishna, except for you, there is no means of success. So this is a prayer. And there are so many prayers. The songbook, when I was gone, I was thinking, what should I read? And I started reading the songbook. It is like amazing. These are prayers. These are ways of seeing how to pray to Krishna. It's just so uplifting. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's prayers. O Venerable Vaishnava Thakur, O Ocean of Mercy, be merciful to this servant of yours and purify me with the shade of your lotus feet I humbly hold. That's O Vaishnava Thakur. And even Lord Chaitanya, his prayers, O Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain. I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. None of them, the only thing the prayers of these great souls generally are asking is for devotion. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal searcher, yet somehow I've fallen into this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms of your lotus feet. And there was another prayer that I read when I was gone and I couldn't find it. But it was like the devotee, whoever wrote it, the Vaishnava who wrote it, was saying, please extend your hand and pick me up out of this miserable condition. You know, they when they pray for help, they're praying in such a way. It's not give me material things as help. It is please take me out of this miserable material condition and fix me in devotional service. These are prayers. So if one wants to engage in one of the 9 processes of devotional service through prayer, there's so many great examples. We're so fortunate. We've somehow or other, Krishna's given us causeless mercy and put us in contact with these great Vaishnavas, with Srila Prabhupada, who's a great Vaishnava who's opened a world to us of devotion. As far as I'm concerned, we should never, if at all possible, find fault with ISKCON or the devotees. We have to learn to see and hate the sin and not the sinner, and see that although they've hurt us or done this wrong or done that wrong, they're in the process of trying to become a devotee. And Krishna is very capable of crushing the misdeeds, crushing the people with their misdeeds and teaching them. They've come to him for shelter. They're seeking his shelter, so he's going to help them. And sometimes his help is through very unfortunate conditions that we have to learn. You know, we suffer sometimes a lot, but it's an opportunity to purify ourselves and realize that, oh, I'm doing this and I should stop doing that, and I know I shouldn't be doing this or thinking like this. Or, you know, it's, what is it that it says? If a devotee appreciates, there's a verse, but I'm just a stupid person. You know, appreciates and acknowledges that he should be suffering more and that he deserves at least what he's getting, then he becomes eligible for liberation. It's our attitude. It's not how much money we give. It's the attitude with which we give it. It's not so much how much pujari service we do. It's the attitude and the desire of service. Anyway, we're in a certain position now. We need to refine that and make progress, tangible progress, before our time of departing this particular body is at hand. All right, I think I've spoken too much. I hope I didn't put everyone to sleep, and I hope you're still there. Sometimes I lose connection and I don't even know it.
No, Mataji, it was so wonderful class. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. And it is so nice to hear you after a long time. We really miss your classes.
In a long time, 6 months.
Yes, Mataji. So let's chant 3 times Hari Bol to welcome back Mataji again. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
And hello to all of you too. I'm happy to have your association and the opportunity to speak, because I mean they asked me if I was going to start giving classes here, but you know, I just don't. When I got sick, I had this heavy brain fog. I had long COVID along with, you know, a bunch of other digestive problems, this like SIBO, E. coli. And the brain fog, you know, the brain can be so shut down almost. Just, you know, anyway, I couldn't give classes because thinking was hard. So I just stopped doing all that and tried to find other ways. Anyway, thank you for letting me be in your association. I appreciate it. And I appreciate giving class this way because it's simple, easy, and it helps me read more and realize how unqualified I am. But that's okay. I like to be unqualified. I like the fact that there are so many great speakers in our movement. Younger people, much younger, newer people I've never heard of, but just giving just incredible classes, so knowledgeable. I feel like a little fig, but that's good. I am a fig.
Yes, Mataji. So thank you so much. So there are some new devotees, Mataji, who are joining. Like they might heard you first time, the senior connection group, which I used to bring to New Vrindavan, and the
Okay.
four of them are joining very newly, like Geeta, Sita, Mataji, and Surinder Prabhu. So these are their names, Rita, Mataji. So for them, I would like to introduce you that Her Grace Jaishree Mataji is a direct Prabhupada disciple, and she is from Hawaii. And at early young age, she joined ISKCON and started Krishna consciousness practice. But
Hare
after
Krishna,
that,
Mataji.
Hare
Very
Krishna.
nice class. Thank you so much. Really, really inspiring. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, likewise.
Although just virtually. It's
Yes.
kind of like Krishna speaking to those people. It was just a sound vibration. So our class is just a sound vibration.
Yes, but very nice class. Thank you, Mataji.
You're welcome.
yeah, and Jaishree Mataji is a very senior disciple, and she currently stays in New Vrindavan and doing so many services from long time. But in summer, she goes to her son's house, Alachua. But now she's back, so we're so happy to have her again. Hari Bol Mataji.
Hari Bol.
Okay, Haribol, thank you so
If
Thank you,
anybody has
Mataji.
any question,
Thank you, Mother Jaishree, for your wonderful association. We are happy to hear you again. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Nice to hear from you guys. Nice to be back with you.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna, Mataji.
All grace to Prabhupada. Okay, go ahead, Prabhuji. I'll after you. Okay. So, you were saying that it was such a nice class. After a long time, you're hearing, getting a session. Please, how you're feeling so refreshed and so purified. Hearing from your lotus mouth, Mataji. Please continue to bless us like that more and more. I wanted to ask you about that instance you were saying that he was driven out of the temple. So Prabhupada never, I don't remember Prabhupada drove out anybody. One person was a drunkard, he came to temple and everybody else was ready to drive him out. But Prabhupada said, let him be here. Let him put his service to Krishna. So why was that driving away?
Well, don't know the situation, and not to say that management was right, but when you've been in management at a temple, there's so many different situations. Some people can be extremely troublesome, although they are wonderful souls, wonderful devotees, and it depends. Management is just a person. They're just faced with all kinds of stressful situations. They have to deal with the finances. They have to deal with the schedule of the deities. And not everyone can stand up to the pressures of managing the temple. So whatever the situation was with this particular person, and some people are not very social, they're socially awkward. Some people that you have to deal with. So it must have just been a personality conflict. So, I don't know the details of the situation.
Like a Jada Bharat situation, socially awkward, Prabhu Mataji?
What's that?
Like a Jada Bharat situation, socially awkward?
Maybe. But Prabhupada also said the temple is not a place for lazies or crazies.
Okay, yeah.
And when you're in management and you have someone that is mentally awkward, it's not always that you can facilitate them at a temple. So I don't know in this situation, I don't know what the conflict was. Maybe the manager was just totally off the wall. maybe they were in Maya. I don't know. I mean, I myself, and I think my character, as far as being honest and dedicated to New Vrindavan, should be beyond question. But we had a manager of one of the departments that was intentionally going to the temple president here, telling him things that weren't true about me. He said I gave the database to this one devotee that was kind of leaving here. And that made me so angry because I'd worked in the fundraising department for some years. First of all, there's absolutely no way I could possibly give the database to anybody. And second of all, I would never take the floor out from New Vrindavan and give our database to somebody else. No way. We were struggling at the time. What he saw was me carrying a stack of typing paper across the courtyard to give to somebody. And in his mind, he decided that was all printed out, that I'd printed out our database and was giving it to somebody. It was like, okay. But then what happened was a few months later, they found out that this person was actually stealing money from the fundraising department. And he wanted me out of his way because I would have probably found out. So he wanted the temple president to think I was the bad guy. So, I mean, these things go on. So maybe the temple president or management was in Maya themselves. Maybe they were the ones that were the problem, and they, you don't know. But that's just the way things are sometimes.
Oh, yeah, Mataji, these kind of situations arise in devotees' life. Then the question, the philosophical question, the ideological question comes. How should we conceive of such a situation, how to deal with? Because Krishna says Arjavam, and the Brahmana quality is Arjavam. Samadhamataposhanti Arjava. Arjava simplicity means free from dualities and free from envy. So these consciousness we harbor in ourselves as a service to Krishna, is in a service mood. Am I right, Mataji? Because we do not harbor these thoughts as benefiting me or against me, taking the other person as an adversary in my bodily consciousness. So am I right, Mataji? Because this kind of situations arise to me also.
Well, everybody has their own angle of vision on situations, and everyone responds to situations differently. You have that you just quoted, and I may see it totally differently. And someone else will see that they need to fight, go to the higher up and go to the GBC, and everyone sees things a little differently. Prabhupada, his spiritual master's movement kind of fell apart, right? And so what did he do? He didn't fight. He turned around and did his own thing. Everyone responds differently. And apparently this devotee that was asked to leave just did his service. He kept going out. He kept coming to Mangalartik, and things were rectified. I don't know the details. I just know it was mentioned in this one book.
Very nice, Mataji. Yeah, your long association and long service to Prabhupada Lotus Feet, very much valued and enriches us in every way.
Well, my way of dealing with things like that here, I want to stay in New Vrindavan. I love New Vrindavan. I want to stay here. So I don't make any situation that couldn't be a conflict. And if something like this comes up, like it did with me, I just have to present my side of it and hope for the best.
Yeah. That is correct. That is non-dual. I mean, that is non-duality, non-hypocrisy.
Okay. All right. I gotta go.
To you.
Yes, please. Please, yes.
This is Rupini Padma Devidasi from Orlando, Florida. And I'm
Hello.
saying to you that you're one of our regular speakers. Even if you take a break and you come back, you keep coming back to us,
Yes,
that
I'm
is
glad you invite me back.
that's what the gopis always wanted Krishna to come back to him into Vrindavan, We're not in a position of gopis, but we always wanted to come back and hear katha from you because you speak very naturally. And we feel so much connected to Srila Prabhupada through your, Vani, that we feel that, today I've become close to Srila Prabhupada because I've heard from a very dear disciple of his. So thank you so much, Mataji, for you're very humble and you're closely connected to us. And we feel very loved in your association, So Mataji, one question was there. You said that you mentioned one line that whenever we go to the temple, we should always carry something and not go empty-handed. So one question can come in the mind that, whatever we have at home, fruits, vegetables, this and that, Krishna has, provided us everything. So we offer and eat like that. So when we go to the temple, I mean, I can understand that we do the offering of the bhoga, right? Because, we cook nicely and especially the home cooked food, we want to present everything to Krishna and then possibly cut up all the vegetables which we can cut up and not say there's a very nice cantaloupe. It's better to cut it up and put tulsi, nice fresh leaf and then offer rather than just putting the whole cantaloupe there because, it's our effort and love that Krishna sees. So in that way, when we go to the temple and when we are not, offering anything in the donation box or any item, so is that okay? Because that is something which I'm not following. I don't. I'm always giving my services at the temple, mostly, but I never kind of take fruits and vegetables and things like that. So, I mean, I was thinking that what is the main reason behind that?
Well, I mean, I do the same thing. I don't bring anything, but I go and do service. I mean, to me, that's my offering. That's what, and I say that I haven't brought anything, but I'm here. You can have me. I'm trying to, I make vases, or I mean, personally, I wouldn't cut up a melon and bring it. I would bring the whole melon because you don't know when it's going to be offered, and you don't know, but that's New Vrindavan. I wouldn't bring anything that was cut up here. But it's just in the nectar of devotion. Prabhupada says that one should bring something when he goes to see the deity. So if you're bringing yourself and your service, then that's seems fine to me. Or if you're buying some grapes for yourself, you could buy some for the temple if you're on day. Just something simple.
Yeah, because Bhakti, a lot of people who are not able to do services, so they are the ones who get like bhoga and other items. So by what I was saying is, like, for example, at my place, right now I can see like a big, what is that? Pineapple, and all these fruits are so much in season now. So, I was thinking if I'll quickly go and put the whole thing there, I was referring to like offering at home, not the temple. Because temple
yes, right. Oh, yeah, right. No, yeah, you should cut it up and offer it with tulsi. But I think he's talking more about going to a temple.
Yeah,
not
home
temple.
Share some thoughts on the fact that it is important to present to Krishna at home, just like we present to our family members. Like, I won't say here, take this apple, I'll cut it up, I'll put some black salt, I'll put something on it, chaat masala and stuff like that. And then we'll all eat. So isn't that the mood?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Excuse me, Mataji, this is Gita here, but I was told that for the temple you should take the best you can, and hopefully not, if something like I mean, I do that. I don't, if I would like to buy something especially for the temple, not because it's just lying in my house, so I should take it. You know what I mean? I mean, yes, not always it's possible, but one should try to do one's best. Whatever one can take should be intentionally bought.
That also extends your devotional service. If it's just sitting at home and you take it, that's good. But if you go to the store specifically to find something to take to the temple, that's extending it a little more and making it a little more personal. That's always nice. I mean, I do a lot of the flower vases here. And once our flowers start blooming, I go out and I pick. Nobody tells me. I just pick from our garden flowers and come back and make vases. You know, they're used to me being the vase maker. So they don't have to tell me. Or I go in the cooler and find the flowers that were picked down at our high tunnel and I just make vases. You know, it extends or you know, you can grow flowers to take to the temple. That extends it even more. You're planting, you're watering, thinking you're going to offer it. It just gives more devotion, more devotional span in your life. So that's good.
Mataji, I have one more question to ask you.
Yeah?
I have one more question to ask and ask.
Yeah, please.
You mentioned about Jat Bharata in your class. Thank you, Mataji, for the answer about the offering, because I was just trying to repeat so that way, I'm not lazy. I cut up everything nicely and then offer at home. I was talking about home offering.
No, that's wonderful. That's what I do too. Well,
yeah. So Mataji, one more question comes is like you mentioned about Jat Bharata, and sometimes we come across in families also children with special need.
Right.
And they're very innocent and they are very sometimes in some families the mother could be the only friend for the child. The child doesn't have any friend, no one else to talk to. You're the sole person, like that. And then we notice sometimes the child is like perfectly normal like us, but then other times we feel, oh, there's so much of developmental delay in this area or that area, like that. So and now, just, when you mentioned about Bharat Maharaj, you said how he was like a devotee and then he got alone in the forest. You were hearing Radhanath Maharaj's class and then he became eventually from deer here. So do we also understand that these children with special need, we have different labels like autism, Down syndrome, there's so many these days. These children are also going through some journey like that where they don't want to connect to the outside world, and somehow they are the ones, because I have a daughter who's has autism, so they are the ones actually who's also brought us into Krishna consciousness, because at least for myself, I never felt accepted anywhere. I felt I was degraded everywhere, because all these Hindu temples and all these places, I felt like there was acceptance here because everybody talks about soul, and there's no fear. There is this powerful movement, which one sentence I'd never forget what Srila Prabhupada says. It's like going to a diamond shop. It's not like a artificial jewelry shop, and not lot of people will come there. So this is so fascinating to hear, from our acharya, our guru of all of our guru Srila Prabhupada. So do we also understand like that for the special need children? Because I know another friend of mine, I was discussing with her, she's right now in Vrindavan. She also has a daughter. So it's a journey, and somehow we have made the mother. So is there a connection, or no, we should not think like that? It's only with Bharat Maharaj and Jada Bharata and like that. If you can give some insight on that.
Well, the thing with Jad Bharat, he wasn't a special needs person. He was pretending because he did not want to be absorbed in the material situation. He realized that his position of being attached to the deer had taken him away from his service. So from what I understand, his determination was, I'm going to pretend to be a dumb person so nobody will bother me. So he wouldn't have, if he acted on the platform of his actual intelligence and ability, he'd have to deal with the father, with the business, with the brothers, and then what time would he have? He didn't want to be in that position. So he figured if he acted in a certain way, no one would want to be around him, which is what happened. And then he spent his time absorbed actually in Krishna consciousness. He was able to just meditate. Now, everyone this day and age is kind of a special needs person, but I know what you mean. There's different situations. I don't know. It must be some kind of a karmic thing, and we don't know what their level of devotion is. Someone may be born in our movement that's crippled or has some physical impediment. We don't know who they are and what their past is and where they're situated spiritually. Same thing for a special needs person. I guess you have to just do your best. And maybe it's Krishna's arrangement that they have a devoted parent that is going to give them Krishna consciously as much as possible. I can't answer that much more than that.
Mataji, you perfectly answered, because I was thinking that, of course, like Jad Bharata and the story of I'm not good with names, that king, with the palanquin story.
Yes, King Rahugana.
Yeah. So it was automatically detected that he's not stepping on the ants, and that's a very Krishna conscious act, because he knows Krishna is in everyone's heart, and of course he was given bad food, and he was ill treated and everything, and he just tolerated like Prahlad Maharaj,
Right.
So yeah, but then our children, they are also on a very innocent level. They are not belonging to this world, but yes, they're going through some kind of a cycle where they had to be with us, and somehow Krishna felt that we could be a servant of these children, and serve them life. Because I remember when I was not in Krishna conscious, I felt that everybody's children is going to college and independent, and parents are independent, and they're going for vanaprastha, and 25 years is grahastha life, and then but here I don't think I will ever be able to join actually truly to vanaprastha, because the responsibility is not finishing, like we say, right? 25 brahmachari, and then 25 is grahastha, and then after that 25 you reach vanaprastha, and then you sannyas, but not for the ladies. I don't think vanaprastha and sannyas is for the ladies. I don't think it's for them, right? It's only, Mataji, for the men.
Well, yeah, women don't take sannyas, but they can be vanaprastha.
Okay, they can be vanaprastha after 50, right? Yeah, okay. So then I feel that it's okay, because then we learn that through the teachings that in the sense that if we cannot even go there, but that's because anywhere our life is conditioned, we are like a how a cow tied to a tree. So in the sense, yeah. So I just wanted you to share some thoughts, because I was going to call my friend in Vrindavan and talk to her today. We talk to each other very often and discuss philosophy and about our children, and it's very consoling because both of us in the same boat. Yeah. So just wanted some clarification and thoughts from you, and so that way I can understand my situation and Krishna consciousness in my life. Thank you so much, Mataji. And we really look forward to hear from you, Mataji, and I hope you stay here in New Vrindavan, so we can have your association.
Thank you. Thank you.
Folded hands for your good health, and yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Madanat pranam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavad pranam. Jaishree Prabhupada.
Oops. Yes, Hare Krishna.
Just wanted to say Hare Krishna. Thank you for the class.
Very welcome. Hare Krishna. All right. So I need to go. I'm going to do tours at the palace today.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hare Krishna.
Vishnu Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Ananta Koti Vaishnavibhyo ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Jaishree Mataji ki jai. And
Jai.
Jai. Devotees who joined
Jai.
today. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare-
you.
Hare
And
Krishna.
see you next time.
See you.
Yes, Mataji, we look forward to hearing from you next time, next month. Yes, Mataji.
And